Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The messages of inspiration and hope is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. The 6 minute webinar. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine in 6 minutes attracting your ideal client? Absolutely. And you can do it in the first sentence. I like to use weight loss as an example. Imagine during this 6 minute webinar, I can show you 3 ways that you can lose weight. Boom. That way you've attracted the customers who are interested in losing weight, and all the people you cannot help, they're not your clients anyway. They're going to go away. You haven't wasted anyone's time. We are going to be joined today by a good friend of mine. He's going to be co-hosting with me, Mr. Rich Parsons. He is a wonderful guy, great friend of mine. He's got a magazine. He's a coach. He's a speaker. He's a trainer. And he's a guy, he's just unbelievable with his energy and what he brings to the party. Our 2 guests, as you see, is Chris Salem and Jonathon Bailor. Chris is going to be talking to us about how to scale your business. And that's very, very critical right now, especially during COVID and the shutdown and people worried and stuff. Then our second guest, Jonathon Bailor. Jonathan's going to be talking to us about our gut, our health, because it's great to have your business going good, but if your health is suffering, it's not worth anything, is it? But ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with Rich and everyone in just a few moments.
Hi, and welcome to the Messages of Inspiration and Hope show that's proudly sponsored by the 6-minute webinar. Today we have some exciting and very interesting guests, real people just like you and me. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the show. Now here's Jim.
And welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I was laughing at a message there I got there on my phone, and I tell you, it's amazing how much we depend on those things. It's really sad when you think about cell phones because, we get in our car and we get to go somewhere and, I forgot my cell phone. Like, okay, back in the 80s, was that a big deal? No. But it's amazing how we put value on these little devices, right? But let me welcome my good friend, Rich Parsons, to the stage. And Rich, I tell you, it's so good to have you here today. My man, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Jim. How are you doing today?
Oh, doing real good. And I need to put your ticker tape up there so people will know who you are. And let's see here. Here we go. That's your website there, isn't it? Higher Calling Consulting. Yeah. Just share with the folks a little bit what higher calling is. So that's above my pay grade.
So higher calling consulting really is, I feel as though my higher calling is to help people and inspire them and give them the clarity they need to achieve success in their life. And that's exactly what I bring to them. And so that's really how my business name birthed.
And of course, that's your email address there. That's how people can get in touch with you. So as the show goes on and they want to find out more about you, they'll be able to get in touch with you. But first, our first guest, Christopher Salem. Oh my goodness gracious. Reading his credentials, what he sent me, and I'm going like, this guy here is going to bring something to the party because we're all about providing infotainment and entertainment that can help you in your hour of need. And let's bring Christopher to the stage there. Let's split the screen there. There we go. It's amazing what you can do when you push the right button. Chris, how you doing, man?
Doing great, Jim. Hey, Rich.
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Doing awesome.
We're so glad and honored to have you here with us today. Rich and I, we know a little. I keep calling Rich Rick. I had a good friend. He wore glasses, had a beard, and his name was Rick. So forgive me. Yeah, the glasses. But share with the folks, if you would, a little bit about who you are and how just anything interesting about your background, sir.
Well, first of all, I want to thank both of you for having me today. And I can say that I'm a happily married man to my wife, Maria. I'm a father to a 13-year-old boy who's active in sports. I love every aspect of spending every moment I can with him in his development. I think that's very important. The most important role is being a father and then a spouse. But other than when I'm not doing the family stuff, I'm an executive coach, corporate trainer, and a professional speaker. And I work with entrepreneurs and business leaders to help them become trusted advisors in their businesses. It's about why you do what you do versus what you do, and how to be compelling to your audience based upon shared values. There's a little subconscious thing to that, a secret of how you can really connect with the people you serve subconsciously based on shared values. And that's from wearing the trusted advisor hat. So, which I'll gladly discuss today.
All right. And, earlier this week, or was it last week? I forget when we visited on the phone. We visited on the phone for about 30, maybe 40 minutes. I don't remember now. But ironically, we really weren't visiting too much about the TV show. It was just we had started talking, and he'd say something and I'd say something. And we were just like we were in step. We were going somewhere with this conversation because, like-minded people, they think a lot alike. And that's very important in life. No matter what your calling is in life, no matter what your gift is, no matter what it is that you want to do, make sure you surround yourself with like-minded people with the same kind of heart, who's willing to contribute and give, because that's the only way that you can make it in this world. The people who are only interested in buttering their own bread and what's in it for them, I tell people, and this may sound kind of country because I'm a country boy. I grew up in North Carolina. My hometown is Shelby. But fact of it is, you need those people in your life like a hog would need a side pocket. And Rich, when you read over Chris's information that he sent, what was your impression of him?
Really, as kind of what he was just talking about there, is as far as the theme and really having shared values, similar values when you relate to people, that is so critical. And as I read over Chris's information, I realized that we as well are of a like mind. And I look forward to what you had to share with us today, and how you can lead and work with people as a trusted advisor. That's so critical in today's business age, and just in general. To be trusted is so critical.
And Chris, just to start you off with, I'm just like giving you an idea here, if I may. If you got a better idea, you pick up on it, okay? But especially in this day and time, people are afraid. People have lost their jobs, some of them, and some of them don't know how they're going to, buy their groceries and pay the rent. And someone comes to you and they're wanting to scale their business. What is some of the advice you give them? I know it would depend on individual situation, but just to say, if I came to you and I says, man, I'm worried. I got this product and I don't know how to market it. And I got that. The first thing you're going to tell me is what? Probably calm down, right?
Well, it's funny that you say that, Jim, is that it is true. I mean, we live in so much uncertainty more than ever. I mean, there's always been uncertainty, but even now with the situation that we've gone through and are continuing to go through with COVID, and many people are skeptical, right? They're in different situations. A lot of them have had their hands forced where they've been let go, and there may not be an alternative of getting a job right away, or at least the same position. So they're looking at entrepreneurship. Maybe they do have this idea that they've suppressed for some time. They're just not sure where to turn, but they're not sure who to trust either.
Right.
So this is why, I mean, there is a lot of information out there, people selling all types of products and services. I mean, it's at your fingertips, and it becomes overwhelming. And so again, this is where it's imperative now going forward. I mean, again, this is strictly coming from just my point of view. I'm allowing the listeners to take this information, and you get to decide what this means to you, because you get to draw your own conclusion. I'm not here to tell you what's right, what's wrong. I'm just sharing with you a different perspective on things that will allow you to kind of say, hey, does this make sense? Or, doesn't matter to me. And that's okay. So in today's world where we got to really rise above all this stuff, all this uncertainty, all this information, people want to connect with others based upon similar interest, values, and so forth. And when I say values, I'm not talking religion. I'm not talking politics. I'm talking about values that define who you are. Now, most of the time, people don't even realize what their own values are. They might be living someone else's, or they may think it should be a certain way, but nonetheless, they're still in some way operating from that because it's innate in their being. They just don't know it. But if you ever noticed when you gravitate towards certain things or certain people, there's a reason. It's not it's energy, of course, but again, it's those values. So, for myself, the core values that define who I really am is transparency. So I'm very authentic. What you see in public is what you would see behind closed doors if you were in my house, 24 hours.
Sure.
Integrity, doing the right thing when no one's looking, and honesty.
Oh, yeah.
Now, then the people. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, yeah, being true to your school. And as you were talking there, and Rich, I know you're part of this. That's why it's so important for you to be able to associate yourself with a strong network of trusted people. People who will, tell you the truth about something, people who's got your back, people who care for you, because then if you're looking at something you might buy and you go like, I don't know if that's a good deal for me, not talk to them. They can give you good advice, number one. Number two, they may give you a better option. And that could save you a lot of money in the long run because, Rich, I know that, from all of us working together, we have seen that time and time and time again, haven't we, brother?
Oh, definitely so. When you have people that realize, like you said, connecting off of values, what a person is, what they're about. And just sometimes even over a virtual setting like this, you can pick that up in just how a person communicates and how they carry themselves, and being able to connect on that level just opens up a whole new territory for coaching and for just helping somebody achieve what they're after. And I know, Chris, you know that better than probably anybody with what you do.
Well, like I said, you guys really share, like I said, these values are so powerful. And, it doesn't mean everyone's going to have the same values, but there's going to be shared values. Like somebody who's ethical and trustworthy and values family could relate to my values, or I can relate to them. And what's important in today's world now is not what makes you unique. Too many brands and products and services are all like about what makes our product unique and what makes us stand out. Now, I'm not saying that's not important, because it is, but it's not the most important thing first when you are looking to position yourself to your audience or to the people that could benefit from what you do. See, people don't care necessarily what you do until you give them a reason why you do what you do.
Amen.
If I need an insurance agent, how many insurance agents are there in a 60-mile radius where I live? Thousands of them, right? Why am I going to pick you? Because you're unique and because you have a nice logo? No, it's about the why. It's why that a lot of times when brands and people can be consistent with content that's adding value based on those values, whether if it's indirect or direct to what you do, that is what's going to connect. When people feel that something is compelling to them, they feel like somebody's speaking to them, it touches something that is a pain point or a challenge, they feel related to and understood. They call that the felt feeling. When they feel felt in that way, they feel like that I can understand how this person perhaps might be able to help me, or I don't need their services or products right now, but I feel like they're very genuine. I can relate to them. I feel good about referring them to someone I may know. You're more likely going to be top of mind. See, once that connection is made, now what you do and how you stand out will now be important to them, not the other way around. And too many brands and too many people are not taking that into account. They're missing that part of their, what I like to call the influence strategy. And influence isn't about persuading people to see your point of view, to buy something. Influence means that you are providing information in an unbiased way that empowers people to draw their own conclusion. You're never going to do everything for everyone, but you will always be something for someone, in this case, more than one person. That's where we want to focus our attention.
Another thing too, it came to mind there. We talked about this on a previous show, Rich. I think you might have been there. I'm not sure. But anyway, not everybody is going to resonate with you. And that's okay, because that's why I encourage people, whatever your gift or talent is, you need to create that. because you may be the person that can reach out and touch someone's life, help them, and help them in their hour of need. Where as nice a guy Rich is, as nice a guy I am, and what a great guy Chris is, they may not resonate with us, but they may resonate with you. So that's why you give and use your God-given gifts and talents to be a blessing to others. That's the biggest calling in life right there.
Yeah, and I like the word you used a moment ago was empower people to do something or be something, because that all too often you have people that, and I think we were talking about it in yesterday's show, that people, they often want to be told what to do, but it's not until they're empowered to do something that they realize that they need to do, that there's true success and that there's the opportunity to move to a new location. Because when they believe it and they're empowered to do it, the results are tenfold better than they would be otherwise.
You're Rich. You're so true. It's like, think about if you had to persuade someone to buy your product or service, you might have done a good job doing that, and they might have come in, but there's still 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because either one, they don't know you enough and maybe don't trust you enough, but they were good about bringing them in, or they don't trust themselves because they don't know if they can do their part to make this worthwhile. So when you have the ability to empower someone to make their own decision, they may not have all the answers. They may still have doubts about doing this, but for some reason they trust you, or because of those values, and they're going to jump in with 2 feet. And when they do their part, just like you said, Rich, they're going to have a better experience. And when they have a better experience, what do people do when they have good results from a better experience? They refer people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other better way. The word of mouth is the best way to do business. Not saying that you can't, you don't stop marketing, but I don't know about you, but I don't want to be marketing to churn through people. I want to leverage, positive experiences based upon shared values, and then and getting referred to people with similar values that we can repeat that process over and over and over again.
Oh, when you do business with people who's been referred to you, you've already got the trust factor there.
Mm.
I mean, that's already established. And then your focus is on, just fulfilling their needs or their wants or why they're contacting you. And I mean, that's just, that is sweet. That's what I call sweet business.
That's it. That's a great term. Jim, you got to trademark that.
Sweet business.
Yeah,
Hey, so Chris, as you were talking there, and you're giving these, you're kind of giving a glimpse at some of the ways you've helped folks. Is there an example that stands out in your mind of a situation where you've been able to really get somebody moving in a better direction?
Yeah, let me use an example because this will relate to most people listening to this. So it's not going to be someone that was already very well off or had a, well-known, but just a, everyday type of person. So I remember a while back, I was working with a woman who was she was a realtor. She worked at a real estate firm. She was in a firm of about 25 on average, 25 producers that were in that office. And she was probably ranking at that time in the bottom 25% in terms of production. So she wasn't really producing, wasn't really great. She was struggling. And this was a woman who had very strong family values. So in the community that she lived in, there was an organization that got involved with the town and producing resources and content that was related to family-related matters, events, things for families, and so on. And people that were, could go into that resource to find out information that could benefit them. Maybe there were certain events going on at the time that they could come attend. And people from the outside that might have been looking to move into the area would often come to this resource. Now, this woman would contribute content, and people loved her content. But there was a disconnect. They didn't know she was a realtor. She was just putting out this content, getting great engagement, but not connecting the dots. Now, she wasn't there to pitch herself in this platform. That's not what she did. Mm-hmm. She had already made a connection with these shared values, people with family values. This is how they were connecting with her. All she did was begin to sign her name that she was a realtor. Nothing, where it was bold or, putting it out there. It was on the top. It was right at the bottom of an article or any content that she shared. And people began to reach out to her because there was this level of trust built on that family values in the content. She gave value. There was something compelling to them. She began to get referrals from people that were looking to move in the area, people that were looking to move. And she began to build her business through something indirect and based on that value through this volunteer work that she was doing. So there are many creative ways. So I wanted to use that one because it can perhaps relate to a lot of people that are, you're an entrepreneur. You could be a realtor, an insurance agent, a financial advisor, a CPA, a lawyer. You could be running a small business. You could be a speaker, coach, doesn't matter. It's again, why you do what you do and connecting those dots and having an influence strategy. And when you can really, really understand that, then you can leverage the platforms that bring out that content to be more compelling. For me, that's speaking, doing radio shows, podcasts like we're doing here. Even though I've written a book, an international best-selling book, I'm not a writer. So you're not going to find me putting out compelling content in written form. It's always, for the most part, going to be through verbal channels like we're doing here. So for her, it was written format. She was a great writer. So she continued to churn out content through this source. She developed a community on Facebook and began to develop things around family-related matters. And this really helped to catapult her real estate business to a whole new level, taking her out of the bottom 25 right up towards the top. So, and this was over, about a 2-3 year period. So again, it's a process, but definitely that's an example I thought could illustrate the point we're talking about.
And that's a lot of values that are connecting right there.
Yeah.
That allowed that level of influence to happen. That's awesome. Good story.
It really is, because that's what we tell guests when they're here on the show. The show is, as it's broadcasted out over the television, because people would see this show anything from a cell phone to a big screen TV. It's all about people getting to know you, like you, and trust you, and have a connection with you. And that's so critical in everything, because when you start, when people connect with you and your values, and you think alike a lot, and they respect you, and they'll listen to you. And they're always looking for people who will help them get from where they are to where they want to be. The question is, are you that person? Yeah. And that's because when they look at you, they're going to look at you. Are you that person? That's true in all walks of life. You see there on the little ticker tape, our radio show's got over 6 million downloads. People ask me, how did I do it? And that's what's simple. I've remained quiet and let the guests talk. and there's a lot of truth in that, because people tune in. And let me use this example, if I may, Chris. I don't want to eat up your time or anything. It's like when you tune in and watch America's Got Talent. You know who the hosts are going to be there, but you tune in to see and watch the talent's going to be there. And the host is just going to preside over it and let the information flow. So that's my 15 seconds of fame. I'm going to turn it back over to you there, Chris.
It's so true. And the thing is, it's just, it's just developing a plan. You got to have a strategy, and knowing that, like with anything, if you want to build a successful business, a successful brand, you have to have a foundation. It's like a house. You can build a beautiful home, but if it's built on a faulty foundation and time wasn't put in to develop that foundation, that home's going to have problems. It's not going to. But if you can build the foundation, it doesn't matter if you've been in business for a long time. You can still build that foundation. It doesn't mean you got to start from scratch. You can go back and build that foundation, so you can make sure that business that you are building on a level of influence in empowering people to draw their own conclusion on shared values. That's going to be a sustainable model that's going to help you to grow even through difficult times like COVID right now. There's many ways, creative ways that you can, modify and adapt to situations. And, trust advisors are very good when they've learned how to do this and how to navigate through these difficult periods to make that happen and continue to add value on those shared values.
Sure. And a lot of times too, Rich, we've all been there, and I've seen you go and grow. You created the Success magazine, and you've done a lot since our paths first crossed. And they crossed originally on this webinar series that developed into the TV show. I tell people, we didn't ring anybody's doorbell or send out an email. The energy carried us. Mm-hmm. Now, most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, I made a lot of mistakes as the host, pushing wrong buttons and stuff like that when we were first doing this thing. But you know what? Have the courage to make that mistake. Have the courage to say, hey, I goofed up. Because that might be the one thing someone sat there and says, I can relate to that guy. He's like me. He can goof up. But at least he's got the courage to admit it. That takes character. And that's what people are looking for. And Chris, I tell you, I got to ask you a question here. You may have something to offer the audience today. And do you have anything you'd like to offer the audience? Free counseling or anything?
Yeah, I would just say that I always like to get to know people, right? You're just getting to maybe know me on some level, but it's not about me. It's about you. Whatever was compelling here to you, I like to learn more about you. What drives you? Why? What's your why? What's your purpose? And I like to offer a complimentary consultation of 30 minutes where we could talk a little bit about you. And I'd be happy, based upon during the discussion, to offer you one valuable tip, no obligation, that could help you to steer you towards developing your influence factor and why you do what you do. So, and they can go right to that website and to the contact page, Jim and Rich, to go ahead and do that.
And that's amazing. Sometimes that one bit of advice, that one tip could be the game changer for everything else. That could be the one thing that they need. So definitely hope folks take advantage of that offer. That's very generous of you.
Absolutely. And Chris, our time is about gone. We got Jonathan's been patiently waiting back there. He might be back there pacing the floor. I don't know, but he's waving at us. But is there anything you'd like to share with the audience before you go, sir?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to both of you having a wonderful show and a platform to showcase, people that are sharing their experience and their expertise, and to know that all of you listening out there could all offer value and be a story to inspire others to do the same. I just like to leave the listeners with a statement that I live my life and I teach other people how to do. And it's such a powerful statement that can change the quality of your life and business forever if you really put it to use every day. That's give without expectation, from empathy and kindness. That's an interdependent behavior and form of communication, not pleasing and enabling, which is codependent. Give without expectation, receive without resistance, meaning that when you give without expectation, being the example or a resource for others to do for themselves, don't expect it to come back from them, but knowing that it will come back from somewhere else, and you receive without resistance.
I like that.
And will change. And I've tested it over and over for 21 years. And knock on wood, it hasn't failed yet. It doesn't mean you're not going to have challenging times and, setbacks and obstacles, but you're going to look at it in a completely different way as you're growing, and you'll embrace them as blessings instead of trying to avoid them.
Well, Chris, I got one real hard, tough question for you, brother, before you go. And you got your seatbelt fastened and all those things. And okay. I hate to ask you this, but is it okay if I add you to my list of people that, in case other podcasters or TV show hosts or radio show hosts, if they were looking for someone to be a guest on their show, could I add your name to that list, sir?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I like that. He can make a decision without him. He don't have to ponder it all. He just, let's do it. Well, I tell you, Chris, our time is gone, and Jonathan, again, has been very kind and waiting. And thank you again for being with us. Thank you for the value you added to the show. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you for having me, and great show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I tell you, it's just been a wonderful thing having him on there. And I've got to do one small thing here before we go to our next guest.
Hi, I'm Angel Marie Monticelli with Angel Marie Shines. And I had the pleasure, the honor to go through training for the 6-minute webinar. Oh my gosh, this webinar and how it's structured and how they teach it. Thank you, Speakers Pathway Coalition. Thank you, Don McGrath and the whole team for the 6-minute webinar, because you made it so simple, easy. And the way you lined it out with the outline, I can reproduce it. And I'm already getting the engagement. I'm getting people that are coming back that are saying, oh, I love this webinar that's so short, so to the point, and I love your products and what I'm selling, but then what I'm also the services that I provide. And I do any of this because I have the framework. So thank you so much to the whole team, because the 6-minute webinar totally rocks. Thank you.
And we are back. I tell you, Angel Marie really is I tell people, and I told Angel, I said, when your mother and father named you Angel, they couldn't have picked a better name. She is just one of a kind, isn't she?
Definitely so. The few times I've had the opportunity to engage with her, and she definitely is a ball of energy.
Yes, she is. A good-hearted woman. Kind of like that song. She's a good. Well, we won't sing, folks. I promise. It'll rust out everything. Hello, Jonathan. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, Jim. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for being with us. And my goodness gracious, you're going to be talking to us something that's very, very important, because usually we talk about, how to deal with fear. And we got COVID on one side and we got all this other nonsense on the other side. We wish both of them would go away, but really to enjoy health. And it starts in the gut. I've heard a little bit and I've used some probiotics and all that, but you're going to take us to a new level. Am I correct on that?
That's exactly right. I know you mentioned this may not be a traditional subject matter for the show, but as I'm sure a lot of us have experienced, they'll give a simple example. If you get cut off in traffic and you're having a great day and you're feeling good and your mind is right, you might laugh. You might say, that person must be having a really bad day. But if your mind isn't right, if your health isn't right, if your spirit isn't right, the exact same event happens, it's going to hit you much differently. I'm a big fan of the old saying that between stimulus and response, there's a gap. And in that gap, the quality of your life is determined. And we now know the size of that gap is in large part a function of your health. Because when you're sick, it's really hard to control your reactions to all those outside inputs.
Oh, yeah, because especially nowadays with COVID being so, kind of like a cloud hanging over our heads. And anytime someone gets a little sick, they think COVID, and, that preys on the mind, because that further, destroys all the good positive juices in your spirit and in your body. And your body's got to deal with that.
It absolutely has to deal with it. And it's a timely topic, because we're talking about COVID, we're talking about immune health, we're talking about mental health. And we now know definitively there is a concrete connection between mental health and digestive health. And here's the big headline: 70% of your immune cells live in your gut. Most people don't realize that at all. If you ask someone, hey, what part of your body should you really be focused on nowadays with what's going on in the world? Well, 70% of your immune cells are sitting right there behind your belly button. So that's pretty important.
I didn't realize it. Did you, Rich?
No, I did not.
Wow.
I knew it was important. I just didn't know how important.
Yeah, and I didn't know where it was located. I mean, I knew there was immune systems in the stomach and all, and I figured throughout the body, but I didn't know it was 70% in the stomach. That is major. And I'm so glad we got you on the show today, because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to remain as quiet as I can. because the information that Jonathan's going to share with you is that valuable to you. Go ahead, sir. Just wherever you want to start.
Well, as we mentioned, the gut, extremely important, but let's back up a second and say, frequently we'll sometimes say we have a gut feeling about something. I have a gut, I have a hunch, I have a feeling about this. You're not imagining something, right? We've known for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, even if we're not all PhDs or MDs, that there's almost like a second brain, right? Some people actually call the gut in the medical community the second brain, because we get feelings from our gut, which sometimes are truer than the thoughts we have up here. So it's hitting you at a deeper level. So really understanding your gut and optimizing your gut is something that you can't do without. And it's an emerging field, right? We have people who, although we don't fully understand the human brain, at least, we're aware of Alzheimer's, we're aware of dementia. Hopefully many of us are taking steps to try to prevent those things. But when we talk about even the health of your gut, quite a large percentage of the population doesn't even know what we're talking about. Where do I start? I take a probiotic? Yeah, that might be, okay, I guess I should take a probiotic. We've really got to take that to a further level and a deeper level to enable our maximum potential and do all we want personally, professionally, and spiritually. Because if you're not feeling good, you're not living well. And that's the bottom line.
Absolutely. And Rich, I tell you, I know that all of us can relate to that gut feeling. We all have gut feelings, don't we?
Definitely so. And I think in Eastern medicine and some of the practices there, that is one of the areas that your gut health has a huge determination on what's going on in your body, as they start asking some kind of rather interesting questions sometimes. If you've ever been to somebody who practices Eastern medicine, interesting questions about what's going on within your gut, and the results of that, it will tell the practitioner something very informative that they can then use to give you a treatment or a prescription or whatever it is that they're going to do to help you.
And what's extremely exciting about this is it's really fun to learn. Like, let's just talk about professional success, because I know it's a topic of the show a lot. It's amazing. You mentioned all the information out there, all the tools out there, all the tactics, like, do this to make your Facebook posts more engaging. And like, that's wonderful. That's awesome. When your gut health is where it should be, you will literally 10x everything in your life, because you will be unlocking a level of energy, neurological capacity, psychological capabilities that is foundational. I mean, if you're there's an old analogy, which is when you get further in your car, imagine you had your foot pressing down, smashing the brake pedal of your car. Is the better approach to slam on the accelerator simultaneously, or to ease off the brake, to ease off of what is holding you back? And if you look at the data, the sheer fact that most people don't even know what gut health is pretty much proves that you can bet it's not optimal in individuals. So when we can optimize that gut health, you might say, I'm not a health nut. I want to turn the show off. I don't want to listen to this anymore. You don't need to be a health nut. You can be a productivity nut. You can be a family values nut. You can be whatever kind of nut you want to be.
Just be a nut.
Just be a nut. And you will be that 10x better when your gut is optimized. Because when you think about it, your gut really is, in some ways, how you relate to the world. It's how you take the world physically inside of you. Right? Most people don't think of that. But if you think about it, like, I don't want to get sort of weird, but what you put inside your body is if you think about it that way, I am putting things inside of my body. This is the portal in which the outside world physically goes into my body. And if we don't care for that relationship, if we don't honor that relationship, we will develop what's known as leaky gut syndrome, which quite a few people haven't heard of. But quite a few people are probably suffering from it, which literally means that the cells in your gut are doing this, and food stuff is leaking through your internal organs into your bloodstream and slowly poisoning you. So imagine if you just had like a low dose IV drip of arsenic going into your bloodstream 24/7, 365 for the past 30 years. And imagine if someday someone just unplugged that. How much more productive would you be? How much better would your life be? How much would your just perception of yourself be? Well, that's what can happen when we heal your gut. And we can certainly start talking about tactics for that, because that's a whole nother topic, because the current tactics we're taught actually don't really work all that well.
Yeah, that's
You
amazing.
mentioned something earlier about Alzheimer's and dementia and what have you, but for people who may not be aware of it, what if they're listening to this right now and they are learning something new and they're taking in information, they are actually working to prevent that, because when you learn new things, the neurons, the synapses, everything in your mind is creating new pathways that is going to help ward off that. So learning new things like what you're sharing with us today is a prime example of how you can improve your longevity as far as your memory and just warding off the effects of dementia and Alzheimer's.
And what's beautiful as well when we talk about dementia and Alzheimer's is there's a long known relationship. It's called the brain gut axis. I won't get into the details, but everything we're going to talk about here today that helps to optimize your gut, according to the most rigorous science in the world, is also helping to optimize your brain. You know, we are one interconnected whole, and it's very important to have this conversation, because when we talk about health all up, if you look at the mainstream information, you may, have heard, hey, I'm going to, just eat less and exercise more. It's sort of very, go on a diet or just go do some exercise. And what we're talking about here is like that's not even applicable information, because just eating less food is not a healing activity. Exercising more is not something that is going to heal this medical condition that is affecting so many of our digestive systems. So we really need to step beyond that. We need to start thinking about the quality of what we're putting into our body and tools and resources that are available to us to heal these junctures. Because if you take nothing else away from this call, imagine that metaphor of having a low dose drip of poison injected into your bloodstream as long as you can remember, and finally having the ability to remove that.
Wow.
Imagine how much that would transform your life.
That's amazing. I'd studied the world of herbs and things of that nature for about 10 years. And I tell people that, one of the most common mistakes people make, and I'm not a subject matter expert at it or anything like that, but I see people that they eat what they want, then they want to take supplements to have the benefit of good health. But the one thing that they're really missing there is that, and it's easily missed, your body is a processing center. It is not a recycling center. And that's one thing that I share with people, because, you got to watch what you put in there, because if you're eating the wrong food, like, when I was in my 50s, my cholesterol total count got up to 266 and I dropped it down to 173 without any type of medication, but I did it with diet and exercise and drinking more water. That helps. But the point being is that when you're in your 50s and you eat like you did when you were in your 30s, somehow or another, the wheels come off the cart on that deal. You know what I mean? It's like pushing a chain uphill.
It's incredible because, regardless of one's spiritual beliefs, I think we can all agree that human beings are amazing, miraculous creatures, right? Like if you look at what we've done, like whatever your belief is, we are miracles, right? So like we can all agree on that. And what we're seeing, what's interesting, you mentioned the age dynamic about, I have a 4-month-old daughter and I have a 2.5-year-old daughter. I'm in my late 30s. My parents are in my 70s, in their 70s. So we've got, kind of a wide, and I've got nieces and nephews who are in their early 20s. So we can look at sort of all age groups within my family. And there's this dogma of, you can eat one way when you're younger and it doesn't affect you, but it will affect you when you get older. And it's interesting because another way to look at that is Imagine that your body is a miracle, and then imagine that it has all these mechanisms inside it that want to keep you alive, right?
Mhm.
If you think about it, if we can agree that the body probably wants to stay alive, right? It's probably got some stuff built into it that's going to fight to keep it alive.
Mhm.
So it's going to put up its dukes. It's going to fight. You drink some Mountain Dew when you're 5 years old, it's boom, 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 but if you keep drinking Mountain Dew for 40 years, it's not that when you're 50, you're broken. You're not broken at all. But it's when you're 50, you might have 5 decades of Mountain Dew that have worn down those defenses. So
Mhm.
I do want everyone who's listening to this call to understand that it's not as if like a 7-year-old has superpowers and can fight off these things. They don't. It's frankly like, imagine, you've only got so many soldiers inside your body to help fight off some of these toxic elements. And we want to keep as many of those soldiers in place. So there's nothing wrong with getting old. You're not getting weaker as you get old by any means. In fact, there's things you could do to make yourself radically stronger with age. What is happening over time to so many of us is just that our defenses have become weaker because they've gotten beaten down. And that's why, for example, one of the topics we're going to talk about today is something called postbiotics. We've probably heard of probiotics when we're talking about gut health, but we haven't heard of postbiotics. And these are one of the most therapeutic breakthrough mechanisms on the market to bring back those defenses in your gut, to literally cause healing at a cellular level in your gut and restore those defenses to what they were decades ago.
And I was actually going to ask you about that as I was reading through some of your information. Postbiotics, never heard of it. So I'd love for you to share that with the audience. So what are postbiotics and how do they benefit us?
I've had the great privilege of being here in the wellness world for over 2 decades now and working with some of the most brilliant minds at Harvard Medical School and Johns Hopkins and UCLA and the Cleveland Clinic and the Mayo Clinic. And I don't say that to bore people, but only to really stress the importance of what I'm about to say next, because postbiotics are truly the most exciting thing I've seen in the wellness world throughout that entire time period. Let me give you a little bit of a backstory on postbiotics, because you want to talk about miracles. You're about to hear about a miracle. So you've probably heard about the term probiotic. What you may have heard of is prebiotic. And now we're going to talk about postbiotics, but I want to explain how they all relate. So no matter how far removed you are from the health and wellness world, you've probably heard someone say, you should eat more fiber. It's good for you.
Yeah.
But if you ask them why, they will say, because fiber's good for you. They won't really know the answer to that question. So it's all
become a human parrot, huh?
Exactly, because fiber is good. But why fiber? Anyway, so we'll talk about that later. What fiber does, fiber is considered a prebiotic. So you have bacteria that live in your gut. Human beings are, from a cellular perspective, we are more not us than we are us. What I mean by that is there are more bacterial cells in your body than there are cells of you. So just let that sink in for a second. You're made up of more bacterial cells than you are made up of human cells. So just that's interesting. But anyway, so those bacterial cells, when you take probiotics, you are actually taking in healthy bacteria that lives in your gut. Prebiotics are substances such as fiber that you can't burn for energy, but that those healthy bacteria in your stomach can. So probiotics are healthy bacteria in your gut. Prebiotics, fiber, is what they eat. Okay, so that's what keeps them alive. You have a symbiotic relationship. But now here is the amazing thing. And this is where, again, regardless of your spiritual beliefs, this is a miracle. So you eat fiber, that's a prebiotic. You've got bacteria in your gut, that's a probiotic. Just like any living thing on the planet, here's a quick quiz. After you eat, what do you have to do eventually? If something comes in,
it's got to go out.
Got to go out, right? So prebiotics come in, probiotics eat them. Probiotics, living bacteria, they have to poop. Their poop is known as short-chain fatty acids or postbiotics. Here's the miracle. postbiotics, or the waste product, the poop of a healthy bacteria that lives inside of you, is one of the most therapeutic substances the scientific community has ever discovered.
Wow.
So every time I talk about this, I literally get chills, because whether or not you think it's a creator, whether or not you think it's evolution, whether or not you think those two things are not mutually exclusive, you have bacteria living inside you. And when it poops, its poop is freaking miraculous healing goodness for you. That's crazy. So why is eating fiber good for you? Well, eating fiber is good for you because it feeds this bacteria and it gets this bacteria to poop, and its poop is basically super fuel for you. But now what we've found is that we can actually get those short chain fatty acids, those postbiotics, and we can deliver them to you directly. And the reason this is so impactful is when you eat fiber, for so many of us, this causes bloating, this causes digestive issues. And this is if we even eat fiber in the first place. And it's really hard sometimes to get people to change their habits. And we're in a crisis mode right now. We need help now. So we all need to eat more vegetables, period. That is the number one thing you can do to improve your health tomorrow, is eat more vegetables, period. Also, if we can get postbiotics directly into your digestive system, that is literally like taking a freaking IV into that bloodstream and pumping in the most powerful medicine you could ever imagine for gut healing. And that's what we have the ability to do now. We've actually found a way to bond the most potent short chain fatty acid or postbiotic in the world, known as butyrate. We take 3 molecules of butyrate, we bond it with a molecule of glycerol. I'm just geeking out here for a second. And we can deliver that powerful, powerful substance directly into your digestive system.
And when it goes into the digestive system, you were talking about the postbiotics being the exit, but when you put it in there before it exits the body, what does it do?
So the postbiotics themselves are not exiting the body. The postbiotics are exiting the body of the bacteria that live in your stomach. And then your body synthesizes it. So this is kind of a bit of an analogy, and I know it's a bit of a stretch. I know I'm talking fast here, but we have a lot to cover.
That's okay.
When you think of stem cells, why are stem cells so amazing? Because your body takes in stem cells and it basically figures out what to do with them. They're literally almost magical. Whatever's wrong with your body, if you give it stem cells, it takes the stem cells and uses the stem cells to help solve that problem. That's what postbiotics are like in your gut. They are the raw material that your body then uses to kick off a bunch of super complicated and boring metabolic processes that cause that healing within your body.
Wow. Yeah, a good friend of mine, he's real big in humic and fulvic acid and all that. And he described being like a snowflake. And he says on each point, he says the body will pick what points it needs and it will use. The rest of it just lets it go on by.
And that is a great analogy. And imagine, like, in this time when there's so much fear and there's so much chaos.
Oh, yeah.
If we could provide like a direct, just mainline this most therapeutic of substances into this most critical area of the body. This has never been possible in the history of science before. And we have this ability now. And so literally within a matter of days of postbiotic administration, we are seeing people have transformative effects. And not to get too gross, but literally the only way this was possible in the past, are you ready? Was by what was known as a fecal transplant, where they would actually take healthy feces and transplant it through the rectum into another person, and they would see powerfully therapeutic benefits to individuals. Now, I don't know about you, but getting a fecal transplant does not sound very enjoyable, and it's certainly going to be hard to get it done to all the people who need it. So to orally take postbiotics and get that level of therapeutic benefit is very positive in many ways.
Because time is running out, but I mean, but I want to ask you a question. Do you by chance have any type of free information or anything where people can or offer anything like that? I mean,
yeah, if you just go to sanesolution.com, that's our website, sanesolution.com. We have a bunch of free reports and free guides and recipe books that you can just give us your email address, you get them for free, or we have just detailed information on gut health and postbiotics available free of charge, no email address required, and that you can just read right away on sanesolution.com.
Wow, that's amazing, because I know a lot of people out there will be wanting to look at that. I know that I'm going to look at it, and I know, Rich, you're going to look at it and share it with others. And just like I want to make sure, is it okay if I add you to the list? Because the information you just shared here, it should be on other shows too. Is it okay if I put you on the list and introduce you to other people there?
Please do. We're on a mission. This is literally a life or death
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't mean that
exactly.
hyperbolically. Like this is literally saving lives. So anything I can do to
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because that's what every good show host wants when they're on TV, or whether they got a podcast or radio or whatever. You want to be able to provide your audience with the best information, give them, stuff that they can use in their life, and that's what this show's all about. And Rich, I tell you, I don't know about you, but man, I'm sure glad I can find out more about postbiotics. I'm glad I don't have to go through that transplant deal he was talking about. That didn't sound too
just come to
thrilling to me.
sanesolution.com, sign up for your fecal transplant, and
Yeah.
it
It kind of lost the excitement there. I'm going like, okay.
Where do you get the postbiotics?
So we do. So we are very, very blessed to license the patented material we talked about. So we have a product called Viscera 3, which is available at sanesolution.com, which is the most effective postbiotic formulation on the market. Incredible trials behind it. And I'd encourage people to give it a try.
Is it a capsule? Is it a pill? Is it a powder? Or how does it come?
It is a capsule.
It is a capsule. Mm-hmm.
That you take orally, just in case anyone's worried. Take it through the mouth.
It's not like preparation H, and I take it out, brother. But how many do they take of that a day? Like 1 or 2 or 3, or is it depending on body weight?
And it's just 3 a day. It's very, very simple. And just one quick, I know we're running out of time, but it is fascinating. One of the most difficult aspects to bringing this product to market was, and I'm just being real. I'm being honest with you here, right?
Okay.
We're talking about the excrement of healthy bacteria. So we had to find a way to take bacterial excrement in a pill and make it not smell. That was not an easy thing to do, but we did it. And when you open the bottle, it actually smells nice. So there you go. You have nothing to worry about on that side.
I hear you, man. I hear you. It's amazing, because the more you find out about the body, it's kind of like the brain. It just, proves to us that how little we really know. When it comes to the mind and all that. And Rich, I know that you're just sitting there and you're kind of like, wow, you've heard some things you had never heard before, brother,
Yeah, definitely.
When we're excited too.
You gave a great, quick synopsis and succinct understanding of what that is, even though it had a lot of details. You did a really good job packaging that up in an understandable way. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we're really excited because the probiotic market in and of itself is $60 billion. Most people don't know this. And essentially with this breakthrough, we can do what postbiotics never can do and really make a difference.
So they just need the postbiotics and don't have to worry about the prebiotics or anything else, huh?
There's when you can get you're taking in all that other stuff, hoping your body will make.
Yeah.
You can just give it directly to you.
Good deal. Ladies and gentlemen, we got about 90 seconds left. And Jonathan, I just want to give you a chance to share any final thought or comment with the audience, if you would, sir.
Hopefully, if you took one thing away from this show, it is that the human body is a miracle. And if the human body is a miracle, that means you are a miracle. So I hope you live your life, and I hope you fuel yourself as if you are a miracle, because you are.
Well, thank you. I heard that one time from my mother. She said it was a miracle that I got out of high school. And, oh, my goodness gracious. Rich, we've been honored today, haven't we?
Heck yeah. 2 great guests, 2 totally different topics, but yet all related to helping people be their best and show up at their very best to live the life that they deserve to live and achieve what they want to. So excellent.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our time is gone. And I just want to say to Jonathan again, thank you so much for the great information. And we're very thankful that Chris was with us earlier and the great information he had. Be sure and get in touch with them. And this show will be edited tonight. It'll be uploaded on our YouTube channel, Messages of Inspiration and Hope. So be sure and share this great information, especially what Jonathan covered with us today, because you know someone out there really needs to hear this information. So again, I'm Jim Grant on behalf of Rich Parsons and Jonathan Bailor. We thank you for being with us today. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.